Hey YouTube, Rook here from Rook Geek Goodness, my little channel web for all things geeky and cool, and welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to another Funko review. This is a different sort of Funko review. I haven't really done many of these sort of reviews. Rather, I call it my Evolution video series. And the idea of this Evolution video series is to take a character and follow its progression based on how the character has grown and changed in different steps. You have a beginning, middle, and end. That's the idea of an Evolution video. I've done one of these videos very similar with Boba Fett, and I've done one with Ahsoka Tano. I've only done two of these videos on my channel before. You'll see it on I'll make cards on the top here if you want to take a look at those videos. You absolutely can. It's a really cool idea where I take a character, as I mentioned, and follow its progression through storytelling. And I'm going to do this sort of same approach for this particular character, Rey from the Star Wars movies, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and of course, Rise of the Skywalker. I'm not a big fan of those three movies. I actually really don't like them at all, but I like the character of Rey. I picked up a total of 6 Funko Pops, as you can see on my table here, where it basically shows her progression through the movies. And she was basically the best piece to come out of the movie, in my personal opinion. Again, I wasn't a big fan of those movies, and I think Rey was probably the best part of the movies. But before I go any further, before we really take a deep dive into this video series, I want to thank all my viewers and subscribers who watch and follow me on YouTube. If you've never seen any of my videos before, please give this video a like at the bottom of the page. It will help this video get noticed on YouTube so the algorithm does pick it up. So I mentioned, again, this is an evolution style video. I'm going to be doing it at a breakdown sort of idea where I'm going to take an up-close shot of all of these characters one by one and show you where the character was in the storyline and where they were fit in, especially this one right here, which really, people really don't talk about this particular pop, and I think it's a really cool pop. It doesn't get a lot of notice. But with that being said, we're going to go to a full breakdown segment. I'm going to look at the packaging as a whole. I'm going to look at paint and articulation and conclude with final thoughts for you, the viewers. Should you pick these pops up and add them to your collection? Let me know in the comments below. With that being said, let's get into the breakdown segment. Alright guys, we're in a breakdown segment looking at the evolution of Rey, rather Rey Skywalker, which is the name she picks up for herself at the end of the Rise of the Skywalker movie, which is episode 9 for Star Wars. And the very first thing we do in a breakdown segment is look at the packaging and presentation. Since I'm reviewing 6 pops, I'm going to do it individually one at a time, starting when we see the character in, of course, Force Awakens, showing the packaging first, then unboxing it, showing the figure off. That's what I'm going to do for each one of these figures, and basically give you a walkthrough of where the character is during this particular point in the movie and where they basically move to from figure to figure. So again, this is the very first time we see Rey looking like this in the movie. So this is, of course, the packaging. This is an older version of a Star Wars pop because they change how the packaging looks. They change what you can do with the figure, and I'll talk more about that shortly when we get deeper into more of these figures. Up here, of course, we have pops. We have the Star Wars logo, Pop 58. Nice window box display of Rey right here. It does say Rey at the bottom. Over here, we have a shot of what the character looks like out of packaging. Over here, you have Rey listed on the side, and the back of the packaging was the first wave of the character from the Force Awakens movie. So let's get Rey out of packaging right now. The shot's going to be a little further away. I'm not going to zoom in. I'm going to do basically this in one big take. That's the idea. And she looks really, really good. I like the way Rey looks here. This is her. We saw her kind of when she was living out in the desert on Tatooine. She has her staff in hand. She looks really, really good. I do like the ponytails, the braids in the back of these ponytails. They did a good amount of style and deco here because they are all these are individual like bundles of hair tied up. So they did a good job on that. Took a lot of liberties from the movie. I think that was very, very cool. White and gray design for the character. She has a little pouch she's wearing right here. What makes this character rather unique for Star Wars is this character can be removed from her base, and we'll see this change in the, I think it's the 4th one in the series where they change the design perspective of how these characters attach to the base. So you see this black and white base here. It looks really, really good. You can detach Rey from this base. And there's two figure stand points right here, plug points, and there's 2 holes in the feet. So all you need to do is you can just plug her back into the figure stand and she stands firm. She can stand without the figure stand as well. She's a little back heavy, so there might be a little problems here. You might have to move the head a little bit, but she can normally stand, but she's a little bit back heavy. This plug points in the feet really help the figure stand, really help keep the character in line. Without that, you run into a problem. Does she have articulation? Unfortunately, she does not. She is a bobblehead. All 6 of these pops are bobbleheads. Again, not a big fan of bobbleheads. I don't like bobbleheads. Again, I don't like what they did, but this is a licensing reason. This is why you have to get bobbleheads for both Star Wars pops and Marvel pops is a licensing agreement, how they kind of circumvent and skirt licensing to get these figures in this scale for vinyl figures. That's how they do it, by making them bobbleheads. Last thing I want to really point out on this figure is the deco on the staff. It looks really, really good. So great pop, first figure. This is from her in Force Awakens when we just met her. So that looks really good. So about 20 minutes into the movie, we get this version of Rey. Basically, if you don't remember, she is a scavenger. She basically tries to sell parts. She scavenges through the desert. She lives in an AT-AT or AT-AT. It's pronounced both ways in the Star Wars universe. She takes the parts into, I believe, Mos Eisley and trades them for food or other necessities she needs to survive. So let's take a look at this particular pop. We have pop at the top here. Again, Star Wars number 119 in the series. A nice window box display again of Rey. We have only at GameStop. This is a GameStop exclusive. You have Rey listed on the side. Over here we have a shot what the character looks like out of packaging. Again, same name on the side here. We do have Rey. Over here, of course, we have all the characters that were available in the wave still. Basically, I think this was still part of Wave 1, or showing maybe parts of Wave 1 or Wave 2. Some of these were exclusive, some of them were not exclusive. So let's get this character out of packaging right now and move on. So this is what we have for her. I do like what she looks like in this version because she looks a little bit different. We get a more childlike version of Rey here. So she looks really, really good. She has the helmet on, the Rebel helmet on, the blast shield down. She has, I think it's like a microphone here, or communication. Yep, communication right there. She does bobble. As we said before, these are all bobbleheads. She still has that same outfit we saw from the first Rey we just took a look at, the white and the gray wrapping. Again, the pouch right here. But she's holding a little dolly right here, which gives this character a lot of personality. I do like how she's holding that little dolly. It looks really, really good. A lot of heart went into this design of the character based on the movie. She looks really, really good. Again, she can be removed from the figure stand. She's not as back heavy as the other one, so she can stand pretty comfortably without her figure stand. Again, you have the option of using the stand or no stand. I like leaving the figure stands for Star Wars, if I can detach them, I'd leave them attached to the pop, mainly because I think the character looks cool being higher up on the figure stand, and I don't want to lose this figure stand. That will change shortly, which will make a lot of more sense momentarily for the next set of pops. So let's get the third one out of packaging and take a look at that one. Third version of Rey is near, I would say, the end of the movie. It looks a little differently when we get to the base. It'll make more sense shortly. So let's look at the packaging again first. Here we have a pop again at the top, Star Wars number 104. Again, same packaging we've seen before. A nice shot of Rey over here. You see the window box display. It does say Rey again on this side. We have her over here, which is a different stance that she's in compared to the ones we looked at before. It does again say Rey on that side. Again, the back of the packaging, very similar to the waves we've seen in the back of the other two figures. Let's get Rey out of packaging. You can see what I'm talking about momentarily, because of the other figures we've seen for these Star Wars figures, this is the first one we've seen sporting a white base. Normally these bases are black. So this is a different base than we've had before prior. She's in a really cool fighting stance with her lightsaber now. This is after she learns that she's tapping into the Force, trying to be a Force adept, trying to understand how the Force works. And you can tell it's the same outfit we've seen for the other two. We've seen those ponytails pulled back, the braids pulled back right here. Same type of sculpt for the other two pops we've seen before. Again, bobblehead, I mentioned that already. She's in the same costume, the gray and the white, the bag, of course, again on her hip. And of course, she is holding Luke Skywalker's lightsaber right here. Mine's a little bit bent. I know there's probably a little quality control issues when you have these lightsabers. I know your mileage may vary. Yours may be straight, some may be bent. I believe you could probably work this out with maybe a hairdryer set on a warm setting. You might be able to bend it back into position. I've seen people who have done this before, so I don't think it'd be that difficult. I don't think it's a huge QA problem, a quality control problem. It's just probably bent because the packaging, just not time it's sent in the packaging, pushed into the clamshell. It might have just bent this saber, so that does happen. As I mentioned, she's on this white base, and she is detachable. So it is a much bigger base you've seen before. Now this works with a pairing of the Kylo Ren pop, because Kylo has one very similar to this, sort of in a battle stance, with a similar sort of ground terrain where you can kind of mimic them fighting side by side. That would be the idea with both pops. You put them side by side fighting on terrain. But she's in this sort of cool fighting stance. She does look really, really good. I do like the way they did the stance for her. And of course, the bottom of the base is completely different than we've seen for the other pops. This is the only one that has a different color base compared to all 5 other Rey figures in this particular wave of Evolution pops. So let's get the next figure on board and see what we have. And to our 4th character from the Evolution Rey series, of course this is taking liberty from the Last Jedi movie. The packaging has changed a little bit compared to the ones we saw before, which we'll talk about momentarily. I bought this version of Rey mainly because I think this pop is her hero pop, where I think it's really the embodiment of the main character through the entire movie. They've made a couple different iterations of Rey through that particular movie of The Last Jedi. Of course, the really notable one from this one would be the dark side Rey, which has a flip-out lightsaber. I didn't want that version of the pops. I wanted the hero pop, if you will, the best version of her through the entire movie. That was my idea of why I bought this one and not any other ones from this particular wave. Of course, the packaging I mentioned a second ago is a little different compared to the 3 we saw before. You don't have the black bar with the white text up top for the logo. You have just this red Star Wars logo right there. And of course, we have pops there. We have the, again, I just mentioned the Star Wars logo, number 190. Nice little window box display again. We have the shot of Rey over here. It does say Rey across the bottom. And the text, of course, they changed the bar here and had, instead of white text, is now red text at the bottom. On this side, we have the character out of packaging. Over here, we have another shot of Rey listed, saying Rey. And the back of the packaging, it showcases all the characters that would have been available in that particular wave. Let's get Rey out of packaging and continue here. Okay, so we have Rey removed from the packaging. She looks good. I love the way this character looks. Really takes homage from the Last Jedi movie. She does sport that same sort of dress that we saw from The Force Awakens, just kind of toned up, made a little better. Her pouch looks a little bit different on her hip right here. You might not be able to notice it, but it's under her arm. It's a little bit different pouch compared to what we've seen from The Force Awakens. The lightsaber also, no issues, no imperfections with it. It's completely straight. You may notice from the back of the grip right here, she has the black grip on the back of it, which really signifies Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. I didn't take any type of quality to put it back into straightness here. It was completely straight out of the packaging. So some of them were bent. Mine was lucky. Mine was in good condition. No issues there. Let's take a look at her hair has changed as well. It has evolved, has changed. Instead of having those 3 kind of pulled back ponytails, you have a clip here, and the back, basically the rest of the ponytail coming straight down. So I do like how the hair has changed from the first 3 pops. Well, the second one had a helmet on, but you can see the bottom of the ponytail compared to the other ones. This one is very, very clean, the design for the ponytails. I like how it looks there. Again, good design with Rey here. She looks really, really good. Can she remove from her figure stand? She absolutely can. You can take her off a figure stand. She has no issues standing. She seems pretty well to hold her weight compared to the first figure we saw a little while ago where she had back problems with her weight. She'll totter backwards. You probably have to push her head forward if you wanted to keep that character, straight up and down without the figure stand. As I mentioned, a lot of people have the liberty of taking this figure on or off the base. I mentioned before, I like taking my figures, leaving them on the base. I don't remove them just because I think it looks cooler having them on the figure stand. It looks more like one solid piece, almost like a miniature statue. That's what it looks like to me. She, again, is a bobblehead like all the other Star Wars pops we mentioned before, but great pop. I think this really embodies the character of Rey in the Last Jedi movie. Let's move on to the next pop. And we're on our 5th version of the Evolution of Rey series. Of course, this takes liberty from the Rise of the Skywalker movie. There's 2 big changes, of course, besides the costume as far as the figure goes here. First is the packaging. The packaging has changed again, denoting the 3rd movie. And this is where we have the character now permanently locked to the figure stand. Let's look at the packaging first. We have, of course, pop at the top. We have a black banner with a yellow kind of highlighting or edging around the Star Wars logo. We have the yellow bubble where it says 307 this time. A nice window box again of Rey. We have a yellow box at the bottom. It says Rey here in black text. Over here we have the character on what it would look like out of packaging. On this side again we have Rey, and we have all the characters available in that particular wave, again with a black background and red trim. Let's get Rey out of packaging. Her outfit has pretty much stayed very similar throughout the entire set of movies. They made some tweaks to her outfit this time where she's more in this white outfit with a cream colored cape. She has her blaster, which she really picked up from the very first movie from The Force Awakens, on her hip this time. The other ones we didn't see her showcasing this blaster. She has had pops before where she just had her blaster out. Again, we have the Luke Skywalker lightsaber. You can see it right here in her grip. The blade, again, is pretty straight. No hindrance with the blade. No quality control problems. Her hair, again, has changed once again, kind of harkening back to her original look. Instead of having it the clip, and the straight ponytail, you have a kind of a hybrid version between the ones we saw at the beginning the Last Jedi pop, and now this one where you got a bundle, and a bit at the back here. So it's sort of an amalgam of all of those designs. So I do like that. She has wrappings on her wrist. Again, she has a blaster right here, and we mentioned a second ago, she cannot come off this base. I cannot detach her from this base, short of me breaking the particular pop. I don't want to do that. This is where I believe Funko has gotten into either licensing adjustments with Disney or with Lucasfilms, or they had issues with their licensing to try to retain it or re-signed, or they made a change to just keep the figure attached to the stand permanently. Maybe because people were saying, hey, why can I always remove this? I like to keep it attached. Maybe that was the approach they took. It could be one or the other, or it could be a combination of both. I'm not 100% sure, but a good figure. This is kind of how the last look we see her in the Last Jedi, in the Rise of Skywalker, movie. This is a great version of her. This is probably near the beginning of the movie, where the next one we'll take a look at is her at the end of the movie. So great pop. She looks really, really good. And again, this is, I call this more the hero figure than any of the other ones. They made another one with the dagger plot point where she has a dagger and lightsaber crossed, and you see like a spark of energy coming off the dagger. I didn't want that one. I just wanted the hero character. That was the approach I took for this one. Let's take a look at the last figure in my Evolution of Rey series now. And of course, our very last figure on the Evolution of Rey series, of course, this takes liberty from the Rise of the Skywalker movie, where Rey really takes the name of Skywalker to heart. This is really basically the last shot of the movie where she has what they call her yellow lightsaber. Let's look at the packaging first before we do anything else. Of course, we have pops up here. Very similar to the last packaging we saw. We have the black with the black and yellow trim right here. 432 in the wave. Great window box display like we've seen before. We have Rey here. It does say at the bottom, Rey with a yellow lightsaber, and that's very, very important. We have the shot of what the character looks like out of packaging. We have Rey listed this time as Rey with yellow lightsaber. The first time we've seen something else next to her name for all the other 5 figures. And the back of the packaging showcased all the characters that would have been available in that particular wave. Let's get Rey out of packaging and really showcase off the last look of this particular figure. Again, she cannot be removed from the figure stand. We've talked about that before with that last figure, but this is kind of the last look we see for Rey. Her outfit is, again, very similar to when we saw in the last figure. She does have her blaster right there. She has her pack now over here. It looks a little bit different. It's in a different position than we saw before. Again, the same head sculpt that we saw for the last one. Same kind of those buns we've seen before, where their style, where you have the bun here, and the bun on the bottom. Very similar like we saw in the last figure. The all-important yellow lightsaber. And I believe this lightsaber, the hilt here, there's a lot of talk of what this lightsaber is all about. It's, again, a yellow lightsaber. We've only seen those coming out of, I think, Star Wars Rebels. The only time we've ever seen a yellow lightsaber, I believe, in canon. I could be incorrect there. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe the lightsaber itself, the actual hilt, was the top portion of her staff that she always had and she always sported throughout the 3 movies. So it's very cool that she used a piece of her history to design her own yellow lightsaber. And this is really where she coined the term Rey Skywalker. That's the name she picked up for herself, not Rey Palpatine. Again, spoilers if you haven't seen the Rise of Skywalker movie. She picked up the name Skywalker as her, like, sort of an adoptive name. Again, she cannot be removed from the base. Again, a lot of people may think that's a good thing or a bad thing. I like the pop being attached to the base, so I don't lose the pop. I do like keeping my pops that are Star Wars attached to the base. But I think this is kind of the culmination of, we saw the character evolving from that young scared girl in Force Awakens to the character that was growing in The Last Jedi to this very strong woman here. This basically the last Jedi, if you really think about it, that happens in the Star Wars universe. Again, there's big changes coming up for Star Wars. We know that for a fact. We know that Ahsoka Tano, we believe, is still alive during this timeline. And who knows about Grogu at this time? Of course, Baby Yoda. But all in all, I think this was a really good video series, The Evolution of Rey. I do hope you enjoy it. Let's get to final thoughts and wrap up this video. Alright guys, final thoughts on the character of Rey, rather Rey Skywalker. Of course, at the end of Rise of the Skywalker movie, she adopts that particular name. But this video is really to hit home on the idea of the character Rey growing through those 3 sets of movies. Of course, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Rise of the Skywalker. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm not a big fan of that, but that's neither here nor there. This is really about this character, the journey of this character. That's the idea of this video, rather video series. I thought it was a good set of pops here. I do like the one where she has her helmet on, as I mentioned in the breakdown segment, and of course the last one where she has the yellow lightsaber, this one right here in the corner. I think those are probably my 2 favorite ones out of this particular set of 6 characters. I did mention in the breakdown that the character can come off the base on some of the older Star Wars figures, which I still don't really understand why either Funko or Lucas or Disney decided to leave the base permanently attached to the figure. As I mentioned, I think it might be something to do with licensing. Maybe they renegotiated their contracts, how they had their particular IP for Funko. Maybe they have to do it this way, or maybe the fans just said, you know what, let's leave the stand intact. It looks better that way. That's a possibility. As I mentioned in the breakdown, I go both ways when I figure, you know, having the stand removable is cool. You can display the character with or without the stand. I like that option, that freedom where you can display it the way you want to display it. I think that's very, very cool. And also I can understand the perspective of leaving it attached to the character so you don't lose that piece. And the character looks much higher with the stand rather than without the stand. So in all, I think it's a cool character. I do like the character of Rey as a whole and the progression of the character growing through all 3 movies. I do hope you like this video series of the evolution of Rey. Should I do more of these evolution-based videos? Hit me up in the comment section below if you want me to do more of them. Maybe you can recommend a character. I can see if I have it in my collection. Maybe pick a couple of these up to do more of these evolution videos in the near future. I do hope you do like this video. Remember to give it a like at the bottom page. Click that subscribe button with a picture of my face. When you subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon to be notified of my latest videos. And of course, last but not least, click the windows over here to watch more of my content. Take care, guys. See you next video. And bye-bye.